Okay, so it is 1:35, and I know we don't have too long, so I think it would just make sense to start, and then if anyone joins, we can obviously join in the middle. Thank you all for joining. I know it's a Friday and a lot of other things going on, so I appreciate y'all taking the time. I'm extremely happy to be presenting here with Micah Runner. Um, Deputy City Manager in the city of Rancho, Cordova, in California. And we're very excited to talk about our new project in Rancho Cordova, the first in California, and the first, honestly, in the West Coast. So it's extremely exciting. The launch is supposed to be this month. So we're all kind of working around the clock to make sure that everything is up and running and exciting things going on, meeting with the businesses and so forth. So we'll talk a little bit about that and about the platform. And I know that there's a lot of other interests going on from cities in California. So we're happy also to leave some time for questions. But I'm happy to maybe, Mike, you want to introduce yourself first, and then I'll introduce myself and take it from there.
Sure. Micah Runner, Deputy City Manager, City Rancho Cordova. I see some familiar faces and names, so that's nice to see friends. But appreciate the opportunity today. Just background, my background's mostly in economic development for both City of Sacramento, City of Stockton, and then Rancho Cordova. So that's most of where my municipal background is in. So I'm happy to talk a little bit about what we're doing with Colu. And I think on the next slide, I'll just kind of go through the why as far as what our kind of what we're thinking about. And obviously, as Michael said, it's not launched till later this month. So the results are still to be determined, but we can at least talk about the why and what we're thinking about and go from there.
Perfect. Thanks, Micah. And my name is Michael Mazur. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Colu, based in New York City. Unfortunately, I cannot be in California right now, but I will be hopefully going in a few weeks, depending on the status of everything. With that being said, I've been working with local government for the past 6 years now. I started and ran a company that initially dealt with electric mobility and shared mobility in cities. So a lot of what actually is now on the news and on the front pages of the newspaper. And I transitioned into Colo about a year ago with the goal of bringing the company and all the impact that it made in Europe and in Israel to the US market. And it's been a crazy year, but I think that in terms of our ability to make an impact, there is so much potential now as we start recovering for the pandemic. And the big void here is how do we help the small businesses? So Micah, if you want to just kind of kick it off, talk maybe a little bit about the challenge, and then I'll continue a little bit more about us, and we'll just leave some time at the end for questions.
Sure. So thanks, Michael. And, you have the fun of Michael and Micah to distinguish for the question and answer time. So real briefly, this is basically the current and actually it's the final version of our RCity app, Make Every Action Shine. This is a collaboration that of effort with Colu and working on the design and the presentation of what it will look like. I think what I really want to kind of start with is the why or the challenge of why we were thinking about this or why we were attracted to this effort. And so really, I think it's mostly twofold, but really focused first on the business side and really focused on, given the impact of COVID, given the need to support our local businesses and our locally owned businesses and different efforts that were taking place to support the small business economy. This really was something that we were attracted to because it did that. But I also think, when we think about kind of both something that could help not only our business community, but also our citizens, because basically it's a discount or it's an incentive to our residents as well. And I don't know how many are doing the Great Plates program or doing those efforts, but it's a little bit of that same idea or blend of supporting or giving discounts to our residents and in our residential community, but also a benefit to the business and driving additional business and effort to our small businesses. So we saw it as a nice blend of those efforts. We needed to engage, better with our small businesses and give folks who didn't have kind of an opportunity, or award system or a coin to be able to do that within the community. I think we also see kind of a future benefit that isn't really part of this first initial effort, but we have a pretty active community engagement participation as well, or effort at the city. And we kind of see this as not just a way to influence behavior for local small business or development or use of our small businesses, but also a way to incentivize or influence even citizenry behavior, whether it's volunteerism or going to events or the different types of activities that you might do. We haven't really thought that one all the way through yet, but I think we see that as a future potential benefit of this tool. And we understand a tool like an app doesn't necessarily meet the mark for everybody as far as every citizen, but we see this as a great tool and toolbox to potentially for those interested or those who are inclined to use this type of effort and drive additional community and an additional perspective and value within the city. So partly we were also interested just from being an innovative tech-oriented solution. That is something we're interested in as a city, and I think that's something else that we were happy to see as far as an innovative tech-oriented solution for the city. As we think about the different pieces of it, we also made a conscious effort to make this a part of our chamber and our local chamber. And so as you all know, sometimes capacity can be an issue for all of us as far as time and resources. But we also saw it as an opportunity to support our local chamber and help buoy them up in an effort as being kind of the tip of the spear for this effort and working with our businesses. So as part of the effort, we also have contracted with our local chamber to help initiate and to serve this app moving forward and populate it and do those things. So we also saw it as a good opportunity to engage with our chamber and use their resources and their connections as putting the word out. So I think overall, those were, some of the highlights of the why. I think we're still thinking about what this may look like moving forward and what we're incentivizing. I don't know, and I can't remember kind of Michael later if we talk about it, but our first three kind of rewards that we're interested in is first was locally owned and operated in Rancho. So we really wanted to be supportive of those businesses, small businesses that are owned and operated in Rancho Cordova by Rancho Cordovans. So that was a first tier. We also then had restaurants that we know have been hit hard from the pandemic and the issues. And so we wanted to make sure we were incentivizing growth and opportunity within them. And then the last was our barrel district, as everybody is always figuring out how to make their city cool by breweries and distilleries and all those things. So we have a few of those already here, and we wanted to capitalize on that market of promoting those individuals, businesses as well. So that's kind of our first tier of interest, and as far as what we're using the tool or the incentive for. I'm sure Michael will get into the mechanics of how it works, but just to provide that background of why we were interested, why we think it'll be successful, and we'll see shortly in the next month within the next month when it launches and see what the results are. I think part of the also opportunity is in the background is this, economic incentive to create more revenue for the city. I think that's always a piece of it. I think for us, that wasn't the driving force. I think it was not the economic, but it was really more the community impact that we were more interested in than the economic return. Obviously, that's important and something we're thinking about, but I think it was more about the community service and the community connection to why we were moving this forward. So I think with that was kind of the why for me, and I'll give it over to Michael to talk a little bit more about the mechanics.
Thanks, Micah. And I just have to add from my side, I mean, for us, it's been such a pleasure working with Micah and the team in Rancho Cordova and in the chamber. I'll say that to find such innovative minds in a city is rare, I must say. And I wish that we can see more. And I'm very glad that everyone is here because we really want to make sure that we can take this as a sort of precedent and hopefully do it in many more cities. So it's really been a pleasure to kind of start this out, and we know that you're taking sort of a first step here. So it's definitely been exciting, and we'll hope to continue to make this impact and really be able to show it very quickly. I'll talk a little bit about our platform, and then I'll talk a little bit also about behind the scenes, meaning philosophically or fundamentally, kind of what is driving the way we operate Colo as a government technology company. So just kind of quickly about us, we've been around for about 5 years. About a year ago, we transitioned to the US market. And what we do is we really offer cities a white label app and platform. So in Rancho Cordova, it's called RCity. And the platform rewards positive behaviors instead of punishing negative behaviors. And the way it works is it has an economic driver, which is a unique city coin. The city coin basically is a way to reward residents for doing these behaviors. So, for example, shopping at local businesses, you can get rewarded with these local coins. Let's say you shop at local businesses, you'll get these, it's like cash back. So you'll spend $10, you'll get, let's say, 20% back, you'll get 2 local coins. These local coins can only be used at local businesses in the city. So whatever these dollars that the city invests have to be used only at local businesses. And that's what we call the circular economy sense of it. The whole point really is to gamify local consumption. How do we use elements of gamification to get people to have that subconscious decision to shop at a local business and not online at e-commerce giants or at the Starbucks, right? What are these tools? And again, we have nothing against those, but it's just how do we take a portion of the consumption made on these e-commerce giants and transition them to local businesses, because those effects are huge. So how do we gamify it? The gamification elements of it, which I'll talk a little bit more about, are really the ways that we increase engagement. So getting people rewarded or giving them loyalty points for shopping at local businesses gets people to subconsciously continue and think about it, right? It's like with airline points or credit card points, right? You constantly want to continue to get more. And we see that as a very strong element of it. The other side of it is the incentives on their own are not enough. So the whole point here is for it to be very much city branded, for it to really reflect the unique needs and aspects of a municipality, and to reward different initiatives that reflect the city. So some cities may want to reward specific neighborhoods like the Borough District. Some may want to reward specific segments. So it could be restaurants. So you give people 20% back for shopping at restaurants. You give people 10% back for shopping at the Borough District. And some cities may also want to eventually reward shopping at things like at minority-owned businesses, at women-owned businesses. All these different initiatives can go on concurrently. And I know that these are also initiatives with Rancho Cordova that we're speaking about. And over time, really, you can help and reward whichever segments you want to reward. We kind of always want to use that value, like Rancho Cordova, equitability. We want the whole city, right, to be able to use this platform. And it's not just residents, right? The primary beneficiary here is the small businesses. We want to make sure that the small businesses can get people shopping there. So whether it's residents, whether it's visitors, whether it's tourists, whomever it may be, to get people to shop at these local businesses. 2 last points I'll say is that, like Mike alluded to, I mean, the technology on its own does not solve problems. It's how do you take technology and implement it in a city in a way that is easily done and easily can achieve these results, right? So a lot of where we focus on is how do we help the city onboard the merchants? How do we help get users? How do we help market it, brand it, design it? The technology on its own is great, but it's definitely not. It won't do anything, right? Unless we really kind of are hands-on with that. And the last thing is that we speak to a lot of cities, and a lot of times one of the main things that they don't know is about the data, especially with CARES Act funds and grants and loans that have been given out. Well, that's okay. What's been the impact of these grants or these loans, these $10,000 grants, loans? And a lot of times the cities just don't know, right? Great, we gave those $10,000 to a local business. We hope it helped, but we don't know. So what we really look to focus on is the economic multiplier, meaning any dollar that the city invests in this program, how much economic impact it can generate, right? So $100 with 10% back will generate $1,000 of economic impact, for example. and looking at that, and then being able to measure the data to show sort of what does giving someone 5% back for shopping local do versus giving someone 10% back. What are different initiatives or causes that can be promoted, and how do they boost consumption? So really looking at the data, not just to determine, not just to show constituents really how those taxpayer dollars are going or how those CARES Act funds dollars are impacting, but also to be able to consistently improve these projects over time and create new initiatives that are the most efficient way to use city funds and can make the most impact with the least amount of dollars. And just to show you guys some examples, so the whole point here is really to go through a process to define an app and make sure that it reflects the city. So in Akronite, in Akron, it's called Akronite. Each reward coin is worth $1, and it's called the blimp. In Rancho Cordova, they're called RCity stars. So each RCity star is worth $1. And in Youngstown, the app is called Yo, and each reward dollar is called City Bites. So we go through, this sometimes long, short process to determine what it is. And it's really it's a fun process, honestly. And I think whatever comes out here always definitely reflects, what the city wants to convey.
I will say, Michael, it's you alluded to long because you're talking about us, because we took a little while, I think, in the narrowing of the name and the look and the feel. So I think it's a little bit dependent on the local jurisdiction, how much they want to engage in that conversation, and kind of versus the kind of off the shelf model, I guess, if you will. And so we took a little longer on that piece, I think.
But it was a fun process nonetheless. I mean, I know we went back and forth, but honestly, the end result, I feel like, does really, really reflect the city of Rancho Cordova and I think what you're looking at. So for us, I know it was a very good learning experience also to go through these iterations. And so this is kind of some of the collateral and how it looks like. So a big part of it is connecting the tangible with the intangible. So getting people to know about this app, right, and the way that they can shop local and get rewarded, but then also have the branding all over, right? So each business that is part of this program, where people get rewarded for shopping there, they'll have the sticker, they'll have the branding, they'll have the collateral. So people constantly, again, are aware of what's going on in their city. And that's what we call, the sense of civic pride, the sense of the community engagement. You want to feel like you're part of your community. And again, having this association of these small businesses, right? There's this entity, right? This RCity or this Akronite or Yo that really connects the small businesses in the city. So you as a resident or you as a visitor will really be able to identify that. And then again, subconsciously remember that when you shop here, you will really be helping benefit or helping impact the local businesses. An interesting statistic, by the way, that I'll just anecdotally say is we see that 76% of Amazon Prime users say that they would go out of their way and even spend more money to shop at local businesses. The problem is that there isn't a conduit for them to do so. Like even me, and you see behind me because I just moved and my virtual background isn't working, I had to use Amazon for a lot of these things that I purchased because I did not have a viable alternative. So I think that for me, and I live in New York City, I wish I had something that could kind of guide me to see where I had a local alternative to get my lamp or my goods or my things for my kitchen. So it's the real background what I have behind me. It wasn't for sake of the presentation. So another just part of the success story in Akron, and again, I definitely think that this is something we'll be able to match in Rancho Cordova because we have not yet launched. We're launching in about 2 weeks of the soft launch. So it's a 9x economic multiplier, and really being able to showcase through data how any dollar the city invests really can generate economic impact of $9. As you can see in the picture, right, there's blimps all over in Akron. So really that on-the-ground marketing approach is huge because it allows us to really have that message out there. So it could be stickers, it could be branding. In Akron, they did little blimps that are all over the city. So a lot of different things where people can hashtag and they take pictures. That's again connecting the digital with the physical. Inclusivity is huge, and that's really a big part of our mission at Colu, and something we really help cities promote, and really promoting minority-owned businesses, promoting businesses from different socioeconomic statuses, right? Some businesses may not have technical capacity or technical capabilities, and some businesses may not even speak English, right? How do we help these business owners? How do we help these business owners also make sure that they can be part of this? So a lot of our work also behind the scenes is helping make sure that there is an equitable aspect to this, and that inclusivity from a business perspective is very, very much important. So the data I was just mentioning, so just some examples, really how you can see the economic impact. Each city gets their own dashboard. So Mike, you also obviously get a dashboard, and you can kind of in real time really see the impact of the rewards and how the rewards are really being allocated amongst the different businesses. Obviously, this is all anonymized, and you can really just see it by business or by business segment. So, and I think we're towards the end now, and also from a timing perspective, but the whole point really is to have a simple, seamless merchant onboarding process. A lot of times cities really have this challenge of saying, hey, look, this sounds great, but how are we really going to get the businesses to participate, right? It's easier said than done. So we've been working around the clock to constantly improve this process and make sure that even virtually, which is unfortunately currently the standard, we're able to really conduct these Zoom sessions. I believe there was one right now. And also be able to help onboard these merchants quickly. And really, it's like a few minute process. So I don't think we have time for this, but I know we have about 5 minutes left. So I don't know, Mike, if you want to add something, or if there's any questions also from the guests and attendees.
No, I don't. I think, obviously probably spend more time if there's questions and if anybody's got specific stuff than any more information.
So I have a question, and I'm not sure if you just touched upon it, but how are you getting businesses into the app? Is it you're setting up sessions and inviting them to go into it, or is like the chamber or chambers kind of like helping to populate those?
So the way it works, so basically the city can pick any amount of businesses that the city wants, and those businesses would automatically be earning businesses. The analogy is like with a Chase credit card, you get 1% cash back for anywhere you shop. Those businesses don't even need to know, right, that they're part of this program. So you can immediately onboard, 200 businesses. The other part of it, though, is getting businesses to be redeeming businesses, and those are businesses where you as a user can redeem your RCity stars, right, at that business when you shop there. Those businesses have to opt in. The Zoom sessions are explanatory sessions. Usually we would conduct like a quick one-on-one right after. There's kind of what we call an automated onboarding experience. So they kind of fill out this form and they automatically there's a contract with the city, and they just get the information needed in order to really onboard. And then we'll call them to make sure that they know, especially the first, couple dozen businesses, especially when it's so new.
Yeah, and I think we are using the chamber to do a lot of that effort when working with the businesses in Rancho Cordova, with probably some support from our economic development team as well.
Michael, maybe can you give me, I'm just curious, like an idea of the general scale of the investment for what it might, from the city perspective? I mean, you've got 3 different cities, Youngstown, Akron, and Rancho Cordova. I'm just trying to get a feel for, if we were to look at something like this with economic development, maybe how it would fit in, or how I would budget for it. I don't quite have in my head, what this effort might entail.
So our fees really range depending on the size of the city. So it's usually, 50 to 60,000 upwards to could be 200,000, really depending on the size of the city. And the other part of it, really from a budgetary perspective, is the rewards, right? Anytime someone spends, right, if you spend $10 at a local business, you get 2 local coins, 2 RCity stars, that in this case is funded by the city. Now, I know we are working with other entities who may also want to contribute. So there could be a foundation that says, hey, we want to support minority-owned businesses in Rancho Cordova. Great, we're going to put in an additional $50,000 for that reward plan. So effectively, you're able to leverage this platform to also bring in third-party funds to promote different causes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would describe it in 3 different ways. One is the contract amount to basically buy the app or the access, right? Second is the paying for the reward. So whatever the incentive reward program is, there's a budget associated with that. And then the third is just any outside marketing or effort or staff work or whatever to publicize it and get the word out, I think is the third. So those are the 3 main categories, I think, from our experience where we've seen.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, so I appreciate everyone's time, and I know I want to be conscious of the time because I know there are other things going on at this conference. So thank you again for participating. Feel free to reach out to me and maybe to Mike or to Mike's team if you like. Also, if you have any questions. And definitely, we're very excited to start in Rancho Cordova, and hopefully I will be hearing more about that. So thanks again, and hopefully I'll have a good weekend. Stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice seeing everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you. It's really interesting. Thank you.
Great job, you guys.
No, nobody's here. I mean, 1 second.
I see Alex.